Hi everybody, I hope you had a good day. I just want to take some time to introduce myself to you. My name is Leah Williams. So my whole adult life, I've pretty much been passionate about politics. It wouldn't be uncommon for my young children at the time to listen to me rant about some things politically that were going on, at that time. And in 2016, I was just a mom, a wife, worship leader, and churchgoer. And I saw somebody come down an elevator in 2016, and that did it for me. There was something in my heart that I could no longer just watch it on the TV and rant. I actually was compelled with every fiber of my being to jump in. And I had no experience. I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew that I had to be a part of the change that I wanted to see. And so I decided to jump in and volunteer. One thing led to another, and I went down the road of politics, and I'm going to share that story with you in another video. That's for another time. But hopefully that will help you as you follow me on my journey. If you're interested in doing some of the same things that I have done, whether it be a delegate or helping out in campaigns, making phone calls, whatever it is that you want to do, hopefully I've done it. And if not, I'll find out who I can get the information from if you have a question and get that for you. But the title of my video today is United We Stand. And I just want to share a couple quotes with you to get that message going. So I'm going to start that with sharing a quote with you from Abraham Lincoln. And he goes on to say, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," one of my favorite biblical quotes. And the second quote comes from Patrick Henry, who said this in March 1799, "United we stand, divided we fall." But he goes on to say, "Let us not split into factions, which must destroy that union upon which our existence hangs." A very, very good quote. I feel like we're looking at that right now. There's so much infighting, there's so much division, name calling, you name it. And I don't think that we have time to fight with each other. We need to be fighting the enemy, which is liberal policies that are infecting and invading our country, our state, our cities. And that's where we would be better suited in taking our fight to, instead of backbiting and infighting with each other. So I'm gonna share a few thoughts with you, and some of you may throw rocks, and hopefully some of you will understand, and hopefully we'll find a way where we can walk out of this together. So the first thing I want to share is everybody throws out so quickly the term rhino. You're a rhino. They throw it out to anyone who's in earshot, and it's pretty shocking how quickly they do it. So this is my understanding of what rhino is to me. There are varying degrees of Republicans, varying degrees of conservative, varying degrees of libertarians, varying degrees of independents, varying degrees of no party preference, varying degrees of Democrats. And that's because we have the freedom to think for ourselves because of this beautiful country. And it's our God-given right to think how we want to think. No one can force anybody to feel or think or vote the way that you want them to. So you might have maybe a conservative or a Republican who is a far right. Maybe you know somebody who's right in the middle and is a moderate. And maybe you have Republican friends or family members who are definitely registered Republicans, but maybe they're left-leaning in social issues. Now, if we were wise, we would understand that we shouldn't spend time fighting with them because we need their vote. In fact, we need any moderate vote from any other party to gain ground. And hopefully our thoughts are that we want to gain ground instead of calling people names. I don't think that it suits us. I think it's better if we stay positive. And in fact, in my own Central Committee meeting where I live, I had a fellow Republican come in and complain about some things that they thought the former administration were doing with their personal time they didn't agree with. I basically told this person that I didn't want to have this discussion on where we disagree. I want to talk about where we do agree and where we can lock arms. And I told her that this conversation isn't going to get us anywhere. It isn't going to gain ground. It isn't going to get somebody into office. Let's talk about the issues that we agree on, and let's lock arms and let's fight together. And I think that this infighting has to stop. This blame game has to stop. We don't even have time to blame people. what we do have time for is to fight, to help campaigns, and to get those people in office that will legislate in the way that we need them to legislate conservatively. So that's my explanation of rhinos. I don't think it is something that we should throw around and name call. Let's take those people that are in our lives that maybe we don't agree politically with, and let's lock arms. There's got to be some issue that we can find a common ground on, and let's fight together with that. So that's how I feel about the word rhino. Now, rhino, I know people use rhino for those that have been in office for a very long time. I get why you're saying that, but it would be better, instead of slinging around the word rhino, why don't you give your legislator, your congressman a call and let them know where you disagreed on some policy that they're putting forth or a position that they're taking. Get on the phone, give them a call, let them know. That's how you push back. Calling names is not going to serve anyone. In fact, it's juvenile. So I think we need to move forward, get a thicker skin, and keep fighting. And if you have a problem with any legislator, even if they're not in your state, write to them, call them, let your voice be heard to them, not backbiting and tearing apart fellow Republicans or conservatives, libertarians, whatever party you may be in. The other thing that kind of drives me crazy is dying on a sword for one issue. There have been previous elections where a candidate maybe wouldn't come forward with saying maybe they weren't pro-life or something to that effect, but indeed they were. And their strategy was to widen their net and maybe talk about some fiscal issues as part of their platform, or school board issues as part of their platform, instead of coming out with those hot red button topics. And I think it's actually a good strategy, because why don't you get in office before you shoot your foot off? Get into office and then legislate those things that are close to your heart. And dying on that one sword, there have been elections in the past, even here locally where I live, where they let a good conservative not get in office. They didn't vote for him, and a Democrat took that. And so the danger in that, and a lot of you know I'm a person of faith, the danger in that, especially people of faith, well, they'll say, I'm not voting for you because you're not saying pro-life, but they have 99% of everything else that a voter would want. When it comes to taxation, freedom, all the things that they want, but they're not going to vote for that. And what happened was it went to a liberal. It went to a Democrat, and things were taken from them. And so there's danger in that. So when you're voting, please don't be a one tunnel vision voter. Think big picture. That conservative would have been 100 times better than the Democrat that took it. So please don't be a one issue voter. It's not serving any of us well. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic candidates out there, and you don't know. They could be pro-life, but they may not say it because their strategy is to get into office where they can legislate, and that's the most powerful position. That's where it needs to happen. Remember, there's no I in team. Again, if you're thinking about yourself, we're going to do better if we think together. We lock arms. We get these candidates into office. If we unify, we can take some ground. But the infighting, it's got to stop. If you are worrying about what your fellow Republicans are doing, don't sit there and tear them apart. Jump in, lock arms with them. Ask them where it is that you can help. Could you make some phone calls for a candidate? Ask if you can help knock on some doors and provide some literature about a candidate. Ask if you can help do some training. There is so much to do. And one of my favorite sayings is, be the change that you want to see. And so these are the ways that you can do that. Go to your local Republican Party Central Committee meetings, call up a candidate, find out how you can volunteer. If you don't know, ask somebody, send a message to somebody in your area that you know works on campaigns, and maybe you're nervous about calling or knocking on doors. I, for one, would train anybody who wanted to help a candidate. There's people out there and they need help. So my last beef is, please, people, let's stop infighting. Let's approach each other in love. Let's approach each other with the mindset that we can find an issue together and lock arms, and we can gain ground. If we continue to invite, bicker, name call, the Democrats will win and they will take the territory, and we can blame nobody but ourselves because they unify at all costs. And I don't believe they fight half as much as conservatives fight. So this is the challenge that I put to you. Can you find common ground with Republicans or conservatives, libertarians? I say Republicans a lot because I'm a Republican, but a conservative, and find a place that you can lock arms together and be that army and be that power together. And hopefully we'll go on to victories in the next election, and we've got recall elections. So stop the bickering, everybody. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for today. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless.